morning. Welcome to New Life. Happy New Year. Not, not your baby. Okay. I when we every time we sing this song, "It Is Well." I don't even. It's what's it called? It is well. Okay, so it's the new version of the old hymn, and I'm just always inspired by the story of the old hymn. The guy who wrote the old hymn had lost his entire family whenever he wrote that song. And anyway, as you guys, as the team we're singing this morning, I'm always just so blessed with our worship team that just so happened this morning that when you guys were singing that, I just couldn't keep from crying. I don't know. I don't think everybody knows all the people on the worship team and who rotates and all this, but it's generally on holiday Sundays that we have our solidest, however you'd put it. The people who are here, they're going to be here no matter what's going on. And as I was looking up here, I see Jerry over here drumming, and it was a bad 2021 for Jerry. His wife nearly didn't make it. Was that 2020 or 2021? Okay, in 21, she got COVID, almost didn't make it. Okay, praying for him. JB's up here singing, whether he's sick or not, scratchy throat, whatever. Sometimes my wife's like, "What are we doing?" And I said, "I'm doing something." I move over to Kim, who texted this morning. She's been up all night with throwing up kids. Got Nick right here, who spent his second Christmas without his wife. And Karina, who just lost her mom. And I'll tell you, before you're all talented. You're all talented, but before I pick talent, I pick people that know what it's like to worship through it all. And that's what you had this morning, was a team that worships through it all. And that's what I want leading us. And so whether it's scratchy voices or misnote, anyway, it sounded great. It just, this morning, what a team. A team that I can believe when they say, through it all, my eyes are on you, because it's been a bad year. It's been a bad year. But let's talk about this. Genesis chapter 1. I want to go back and this, but I want you to hear it again. It says, in the beginning, I always have to stop and go, in the beginning of what? Because God already existed. It's in the beginning of time, before time existed. Okay, right then, when God started time, He created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and void, and darkness hovered over the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And this word in Hebrew, light, is order. So basically there was chaos, and God said, "Let there be order." And I want to notate that at this moment there is no sun, there are no stars, there is no moon. He is not talking about luminescence. There is order. It's the kind of light that's inside of God. God said, "Let there be light." And then there was light. God saw that the light was good, and He separated the light from the darkness. This is an interesting scripture, because I would have thought He already knew that the light was good. He spoke it, and then He saw it, and when He saw it, He said, "This is good," and He separated chaos from order. He separated light from darkness. This is a thing. It's a thing I need today. It's a thing we need in the world today. You can see it every day. You can see it in every movie, every television show, every person you meet, every president. You go look at anything, and you can add it up to light or darkness. It's either light or it's darkness. And God made it such, I don't say such right, and my wife's called me on it several times this year, and now every time I say such, I can't think about anything. But it's S-I-C-H, such. God made it such that the light and the darkness cannot coexist. It won't work. We can't handle it. If the light is in you, hi baby, if the light is in you, you cannot tolerate darkness. That's a good thing. When darkness irritates you, that's a good sign. When darkness doesn't irritate you, you got to start asking questions. He saw that it was good. He separated it. And he called the light day, and he called the darkness night. And then there was evening, and there was morning the first day. So all God did the first day was set up light, darkness, separated them, took away chaos, made order. Now, chaos didn't stop existing. It just doesn't exist where there's order. Where there's order, there cannot be chaos. And then he said, let's do this. Let's have a night and a day. Then God said, let there be a vault or an expanse between the water above and the water below. So God made this separation, and the water under was separated from the water above, and it was so. And God called this vault or this separation sky. Different Sunday, we'll talk about that another day. Number 9, verse 9. And God said, let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, not the Texas Panhandle. And let the dry ground appear, Texas Panhandle. And it was so. And God called the dry ground land, and he gathered the waters he called the seas, and he said it was good. So as he's doing this thing, he's going, it's good. It's good. I like it. We'll find out that it doesn't get not good until man's alone. That everything's good until man's alone. 11. Then God says, let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees that bear fruit and fruit that has seed in it, according to their various kind. And it was so. And the land produces vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kind. And God saw that it was good, and there was evening, and there was morning the third day. Then God said, let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and to serve as signs to mark the sacred times and the days and the years. Other versions say the seasons. So what day is this? Day 4. On day 4, God says, I'm going to create years. It's the first Sunday of the year, and we're going to be talking about years today, something that maybe you didn't realize God created for you. The years didn't just happen. God created years so that we can have them. He said it was good. I want to move on forward to 26. So God finishes creating everything, but on day 4, he created the year for you. He said, let us make mankind in our image and in our likeness, so that they may rule over basically the things I've created. I'm not gonna read it all to you, but he says, I want to make man so that he thinks like me, he acts like me, he reasons like me, he's creative, he looks like me, and that way they can rule over what I've created for them. I want to move forward to Revelation. Well, no, let's do this one. Mark 2. This is Mark 2, verse 23. Jesus is having an argument with the Pharisees like he usually does. They're picking on him about stuff. And it says, one Sabbath, Jesus was going through the grain fields, and as his disciples walked along, they began to pick some of the grain. The Pharisees said to him, look, why are they doing what's unlawful on the Sabbath? He answered, have you never read what David did when he and his companions were hungry and in need? In the days of Abiathar, the high priest, he entered the house of God and ate the consecrated bread, which is lawful only for the priest to eat. And he also gave some to his companions. Then he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man. The man was not made for Sabbath. So the Son of God is the Lord even over the Sabbath. Jesus understands this concept that everything that has been created was created for you, including Sabbath, including years, including days, including weeks, all of this. God created it with you in mind. We get all mixed up. I love what Pastor, I didn't know he was going to share the different religions and the way they look at the year and what they do for the year. There's only one religion, There's only one belief system, which is Christianity, that understands that this year's for me. It's mine. I don't exist for this year. I'm not going to let this year happen to me. I didn't need to let last year happen to me. This year was created for me. And so I want to read this. Revelation 21, 1 through 5. Many of you need to hear this as we come into 2022. It says, Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. I saw the holy city and the new Jerusalem coming down from heaven, from God, prepared as a bride beautifully dressed for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. And then Christ says, I make everything new. I make all things new. And so if we follow this logic that the years were created for me, for you, and that Jesus makes all things new, then that's what we have to do today, is get ready for what he has made new. Because we live in a world where we're saturated with all kinds of belief systems, and whether it's New Year's resolutions. And by the way, I made a resolution in 2010 to not make resolutions anymore, and I've stood by it, Pastor. I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing to take the reset and to go, hey, here's what I want to be new at. Here's what here's what I want to change. I think it's a good thing. I think sometimes secretly we do it. Sometimes we post it on Facebook, which is very dangerous. Then people might hold you accountable. But we look at this year change every year. We look at it every year as this thing. And if you've had a good last year, we're like, well, I hate to see last year go. Wonder what the new year brings. If you've had a terrible last year, you blame it. And right now, if you go look on Facebook, everybody's mad at 2021. And I'm here to tell you this morning, 2021 didn't do that. It may have been a bad year. It may be 2020 was a bad year. Maybe I don't know how you measure this. But 2021 didn't do that. And 2019 didn't do that, and 2020 didn't do that. And if we live a life where we let that happen to us, if we let the year dictate who we are and what we do and what our goals are, if we allow the name of the year or whatever's been said about it, if we allow that to set us up, then we are going to be set up for failure. I don't want to be defined by what kind of year it is. I want to be defined by my choices and what I did to that year. We're weird as a people. In fact, I could go around and say, what year did you graduate? And I'm the class of this and the class of that. It's just, we have this funny society that just kind of, we claim it. I'm class of 94. And that was a good year, right? Nobody remembers. Clinton, you don't know. Were you 95? Oh, you're 94 too? Okay. So maybe it was a good year. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I don't even remember who was president. Bill Clinton. Maybe. I don't know. Here's the thing. I want you to know 2022 is yours. It's yours because he created it for you. Let's forget the last years. Let's forget past and what we've blamed and what we haven't blamed. Let's embrace what's been given to us. You've been given a new year. I love the verse that says he has new mercies every day. It's better when we can even look at a day and go, okay, it's a new day. I get a reset. But sometimes we need to take a year and go, okay, we're drawing this line. It's over. I'm finished. And 2022 is my year. I've got this. Now, my question for you is this. If you believe God created 2022 for you, and you believe he makes all things new, then you can agree that he's wiped it, it's all done, and you got something new that you can embrace. What are you going to do with it? I think about the parable of the talents There's a landowner who's got these three people that work for him, and he comes and he says, I'm going to go out of town for a while. While I'm out of town, I'm going to let you make some investments. And he gives one of them 10 talents. He gives one of them 5 talents, and he gives the other one 1 talent. He goes away. Whenever he comes back at the end of this time, he says, all right, what'd you do with it? And the one with 10 said, I took the 10, I invested it, I made 10 more. Look, here you go. And the owner says, oh, you get to keep it all. You did well with what I gave you. He goes to the one that had the 5, and he says, what'd you do with your 5? He said, I invested it, I used it, and I got 5 more. Here you go. And he says, oh, you get to keep it all because you did well with what I gave you. And then he goes to the one that had 1. He goes, what'd you do with your 1? And he said, I buried it because I knew you were a harsh man. I knew you would hold me accountable, so I buried it so I'd have it when you got back. Frustrated, the landowner takes the 1 from him and says, you're wicked. You're wicked. Get out of my sight. Go away from it. You did nothing with what I gave you. And my favorite part of this story, I think often the subject of the story is the one who did nothing. I love the part where the owner takes the 1 and he tosses it to the one that had 20. He says to the one who had 20, here, you're going to get this fool's 1. You didn't even earn that. You didn't even do anything. And here, just because I like with you what you do with what I give you. God gives to those who haven't sown. He gives to those who don't even earn it just because they take and invest what he gives them. What will you do with 2022? He's given it to you. Are you going to hide it? Are you going to bury it? Or are you going to do something with it? You have a new year. You have a fresh start. What will you do with it? Now, let's go down a list. I just kind of want you being introspective this morning with what God's called you to do. If you were to get a fresh start, a new chance, everything erased, what would you do if you could start all over? What if it were in the beginning? And you could have it all over. What would you do about your successes? Would you complain about your lack of success? Or would you take a chance to do something new? Would you take a chance to be successful again? Would you put your chips back out on the table, or however you want to put it? Would you try again, or would you go bury it? How about, what would you do with forgiveness? Now, forgiveness, it's a two-sided coin. What would you do with the forgiveness that's been given you? Or the forgiveness you need? And what would you do with the forgiveness that's being asked of you? Do you have somebody that needs to forgive you that you just have drug your feet going to and apologizing? Do you have some people that you need to forgive? What will you do with your health? What will you do with the things you've been compelled to do and the things that have been laid on your heart and laid in front of you? What will you do? Will you just say, this is how it is? What will you do with your legacy? Your kids, your grandkids, your business. What will you do in 2022 that lays out a future for those that follow you? What will you do in 2022 with missions? I've known some of you for years. You've been saying, I think God's calling me to go to El Salvador. God's calling me to go to Nepal. God's calling me to come pass out turkey baskets. God's calling me to come help pay bills. I don't know what it is, but it's like, yeah, when I find the time, whenever I get the energy, when I have the money, I'm going to help with that. What will you do in 2022 with the missions that God's called you to? How about in 2022, what will you do with your finances? I was just sharing with some of the staff this week. The church finances, we start July 1st, and so we hit half year on January 1st. And in the first 6 months of this year, or of this fiscal year, right, from July 1st until now, we've deposited as a church what our budget was about 3 years ago for the whole year. You look around and you think, man, COVID's got people backed up. I mean, it's kind of a mess. Well, this has been the best. This has been the best 2 years this church has ever had. There's been faithfulness. There's been growth. And we've seen people blessed. We've seen people, with new ventures and new things going on, and doors just keep opening. What will you do with your finances? I don't talk about finances a lot because it gets people on their heels. When I do talk about them, it's just because I want you to be blessed. I'm a tithing man. My family tithes because the Bible says the tithe that we have for 23 years, and God just keeps opening new doors. God is just a God who blesses what we do. What will you do with your finances in 2022? Hey, babe. What will you do with your relationships in 2022? Anybody sign up for the deal yet, Pastor? Okay. We got a marriage retreat coming up, and those aren't the only relationships we have. What will you do with your relationships? Will you prioritize them? Will you make time and spend energy and money on making better relationships? Or will you just do what you've been doing? What will you do about Sabbath this year? We've seen over time that people just in America, we just are busy, busy, busy. We run ourselves ragged. When's the last time you slowed down and said, hey, I'm just going to have a rest day? I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to have a pajama day, have a movie day, have a slow down. And we've also seen, I think statistics were in 96, 97 when I started doing ministry, that a regular church member that considered themselves a active church member came 48 Sundays a year. In 2018 or 2019, an active church member now comes 24 Sundays a year, half of that. You know, when you come worship, when you come with your church family, when you come together, it enhances your life. It creates a bond with us. It's a good thing. We don't need you here for our health. You need to be here for your health. What will you do when it comes to Sabbath and worship this year? In 2022, what will you do about honor? Are there some things you need to go straighten up? Are there some things, what was it you said, the group that they take back what they've stolen? Is that what you said? Babylonians just take back what they're stolen? That's awesome. That'd be great. I'm at 1402 Dodson. I've had to start when I do my IRS. There's a place on there you can list all the things that were stolen and it comes off your taxes. I didn't know that, but yeah. So yeah, just bring stuff back if you got it. You want back down? Okay. How about integrity? This has been a word we've talked about a lot this year. So integrity comes from the word in math like integer. And an integer means a whole number, no fractions. And what it means that you're the same everywhere you go. You're the same whether your wife's there or not. You're the same whether your mom's there or not. You're the same. It's being the same. What will you do in 2022 with your integrity? Do you find yourself acting differently when different people are around, or is how you are just how you are? What will you do with your integrity? And really the biggest question is, what will you do with your reset? You get a chance because God gave you a new year. He made us this way. He made earth this way. It used to not be this way, and he said, I want it to be this way. I want you to make a trip all the way around the sun, and then you get to start all over. What will you do with your reset? This can be and should be the best year of your life. Next year, hopefully you'll get the same pep talk, and then that can be the best year of your life also. You get a chance to start all over. It's yours. He gave it to you, and nobody can take it from you. That's the cool thing. It's like the talents. God decides who he gives what. He gave you 2022, and I can't have it. I can't have your portion. I can't have a piece of it. There's 365 days in it. There's 364 left. And it's yours, and I can't have it. Nobody can have it that you don't give it to them. It's your time. What will you do something? Life's not a crapshoot. It's not, let's see how it goes. He said, I gave you this. what will you do with it? So the question's really this. Did 2021 do something to you? Or did you do something to 2021? Well, however you answer that, we need not let 2022 do something to us. We need to do something to 2022. It's ours. We own it. What will you do this year? Who will you be this year? Then, what will New Life do this year? And who will New Life be this year? I am on a trajectory in life. I just want to keep doing more, hit and reset, get better. I just want to spend the rest of my life doing more, serving God, growing a church, loving on a community. I just want to keep doing more, and I've just gotten to a place I want to be around people that want that same thing. What will we do this year? I enjoyed the silence last week. We spent about 2 minutes in silence, and so I want, for 2 minutes, no more, for you to just ask God what your 2022 is supposed to look like. And then we'll pray. That song that JB sang this morning is my favorite song for the year, and it says, I love you, Lord. Your mercies never fail me. For all my days, you've held me in your hand. It goes on to say that for all my life, you have been faithful. For all my life, you have been so, so good. And then what the writer says back is, so with every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. It's this writer's ability to look back and go, man, there's been some mess, but you've been there with me through it all. And because of that, with every breath that I've able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I would like, if you feel like you're ready to reset for 2022, you got some things on your heart, stand up so I can pray over you. I'm not going to have you share anything, but if you have things that you're going to do in 2022, stand up so I can pray for you. Will you bow with me? Father, in Jesus' name, you've laid it on their hearts. They have vision for what you've called them to do in relationships and in forgiveness and in finances, in missions and ministry, in opportunity and success. Father, you have shown them where they need to be headed. Lord, I ask that you set it into motion, that you do miracles in their lives, that you fill this place. You fill this place with testimony of your goodness, of your open doors. Father, I pray that New Life and the people that worship here would be blessed. Father, bring us rain, bring us moisture, bring us increase, Lord. Expand our territory. Let us be a people that serves you and loves you and that is blessed by you. Father, cover us, fill us from the top of our heads to the bottom of our feet. In Jesus' holy name I pray. Amen. Happy New Year.